Good evening and welcome to Open Minds Special. This evening, I have a very special guest. The last time I spoke with him, he was on my podcast, and I still couldn't say his name then. So I'm just going to call him Craig. Welcome to the show, Craig. What is your name?
Well, everyone looks at it and never knows really quite how to say it. But if you look at it, it's Campobasso. So how you remember it is to do it with an Italian flair. Campobasso. Then people remember it. Once you hear it a few times, it becomes easy. Campobasso is a city 3 hours by car outside of Rome. It means lowlands, and they make olive oil there. So yeah, so how about that? But I don't know how my grandfather got the name because, you know, he passed away when I was like in 3rd grade. So there was never anyone to sort of ask where the origin of the name came from.
It's unique. Yeah. Well, for the audience on Open Minds who may not know about you, could you just give a brief introduction? Because this evening we're going to talk about the films that you are producing at the moment. But before we get there, just a brief intro, what you do, who are you, and what have you done?
Sure. I actually have been in the film business since I was 15 years old. Primarily, I am a casting director. So I cast actors in television shows and motion pictures. I probably have about 100 projects under my name. I have probably cast 100 others that never went. As well, because, you know, they get their financing and they lose their financing. So and I'm also a filmmaker, writer, producer, and director. I wrote, produced, and directed Stranger at the Pentagon from the book that was by Dr. Frank Stranges. I was very close to him for the last 8 years of his life, and he sort of handed the baton to me. So I made the short film to use as a piece for investors, right? And then the public all over the world found out that I had done this, and they begged me to release it because the public was so hungry just to see even a portion of the story. So I did, to great success, and we won several Best Sci-Fi Short Awards, and Ancient Aliens saw the short and called me, and they wanted to do a whole story, so they did a whole story. I was on the show, and we talked about Dr. Frank and Valiant Thor, and Honorable Paul Hellyer was also on the same show, and he confirmed the Valiant Thor story because he was the former Canadian Minister of Defense, as everyone knows. So anyway, and it just, you know, it just kept ballooning and ballooning from there, and expanding out into the world to let people know about Valiant Thor. We'll get into that later on. I've written a 4-book part series. This is book 1. It's called The Autobiography of an Extraterrestrial Saga. This is book 2. It's a continuing story. Book 3, oh my God, let me say it in Italian. Oh my God. You will freak out over that one. I mean, they're all great. And then the 4th one is book 4. And then last year I released, this is part of my film history, is The Silence of the Hams. It's a pictorial memoir of the making of a cult classic. I was the casting director. We made this movie 25 years ago. I
Wow.
cast every major comedian in the film, from Dom DeLuise to Billy Zane to Phyllis Diller to Mel Brooks to everyone. So it's a wonderful sort of
Wow.
picture book. It's all of
Yeah.
my photos from the set. And they just re-released, I timed it to come out with the re-release of The Silence of the Ham on Blu-ray. And
Wow.
they did a whole making of as well. And then, of course, we have the Extraterrestrial Species Almanac, which came out at the beginning of this year as well. In my before I was a casting director, I actually worked on the original Dune, David Lynch's version, for 4 years. So there's so much excitement with the new Dune that came out. I'm in a documentary on it that I think is being released this month on the old Dune, where they interviewed a lot of us who were in the crew to tell the story of a lot of things that people have never heard of the behind the scenes before. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
So you haven't really done much in your life.
I haven't done much at all.
Hold on. Before we go any further, for the audience, we do put the links up. If the audience, while they're watching, is interested in any of your books, your series, where can they get hold of your books? Is it an Amazon link?
Sure. It's they could go to my website, and I autograph and personalize all the books. So you go to Autobiography of Unanet.com. You can get my the 4-part book series there. You can buy the books individually, or you can buy all 4 books with one click in either hardcover or soft cover. What I find is a lot of people buy them in soft cover or on Kindle on Amazon, and then they go, oh my God, I want the hardcover. So then they contact me, and I sign them for their library. And on the same website, Autobiography of ET, when you click on other books, there's the ET Almanac. There is The Silence of the Hams in that link. And then I also have on that same page, the Universal Seal of Protection cards, which are Archangel Michael, the Archangel Metatron, and Father Melchizedek. It's the divine M Trinity of the universe. And so they gave me a vision in creating it. And so there's been many stories of people who have gotten them, who were having either a poltergeist or bad ET or whatever, and then it just vanished once the cards got into place.
I'm with you. So I mean, he's done nothing all his life just to sit back and chill in Los Angeles or wherever he is. But all of them links go to his website, but obviously still on Amazon. And I will put all the links up where you can access them. They're already on the Facebook page at the moment. I put that up already, but they'll be reissued now.
And Stranger at the Pentagon. If people want his books or to see the short film, they can go to strangeratthepentagon.com. The posters behind me, including 2 others, are there. Valiant Thor t-shirts. As the public begged me, so I hired a comic book artist to do the rendering. So they've been going like hotcakes this Christmas.
So there you go. You've heard it here. You've heard it here. I love the posters at the background. I love that. I love that. So now the main part of this tonight, I wanted to talk about the 2 projects. I know you've got millions, but the 2 that you are working on at the moment, and where they're going, and the help you need to get them going where they need to be. So start with what we're going to start with.
Well, we'll start. So at the beginning of the year, I decided, actually, it was really interesting. I started getting approached by companies to make my book even before it was released into a documentary. And I thought, well, why would I give it to somebody else to create when I can create it myself? So I brought on 3 of my friends who are also documentarians and have won many multiple awards. And so we have completed all the interviews for the book, for the documentary. And now we're in the editing process. I have raised the money to make the documentary privately. And so I have always wanted to bring the extraterrestrials to life through CGI or computer generated images. It's like watching a Marvel movie, right? So I started going out and getting quotes, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe how much more expensive it is. Like, just one simple shot, the cheapest quote that I could get from several companies was $15,000.
Bloody hell.
And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. So I just decided that I would just start a GoFundMe campaign. When I made Stranger at the Pentagon, I did 2 campaigns on Kickstarter to help me with it. And then with all of my connections and everything, we were able to make the film. And people have to understand this kind of filmmaking, Stranger at the Pentagon and E.T. Almanac, not mainstream media. Those people don't come in and give you money. So we, the people, have to, if we want to see it, what I loved about it, it was sort of like we the people are creating our own content by, even if you're contributing $5, right, or $1, it doesn't matter. It just gets the energy going. So the GoFundMe now, like I've put it at 10. Just to start, and 10,000, and we raised, I think, almost 3,900 so far. So Gloria, I know you'll post a link, but it's the Extraterrestrial Species Almanac documentary on GoFundMe.com. And
before we go to the next one, hold on. So that will be that Craig's link will be on my Facebook pages. I will share them out. So let the audience know as much as you can, what is the documentary about? So they give them the interest. So, okay, what is this documentary about itself?
So it's an extension of the book. So the book is compiled of a lot of contactee stories from books that were published that are no longer in print. I've been studying this phenomena since I was 26 years old, right? So for 2 years now. Okay, just kidding. But anyway,
whatever, and I'm still 21. Yes.
But so what I was able to do was bring on a lot of these contactees, people from behind the scenes that have never actually been in a documentary. I didn't want to have the same old people as in every UFO documentary. I wanted all new people. I did bring on a few heavy hitters and some people who were very knowledgeable about hybrids. I also have interviewed several hybrids who go in to talk about how they became a hybrid or how they are a hybrid. And one of them actually speaks the language of the race. So we're going to hear extraterrestrial languages. There's another woman who speaks 5 different dialects. So we're going to be able to hear at least 6 or 7 different languages that come up. So So we'll have, so we'll have benevolent, neutral, and malevolent races, and we will learn more about them than what's in the book, because what the publisher wanted for the book was a thumbnail review of the races, and so this now will go into greater detail and that kind of thing. And as you see, a contactee or a hybrid talking, we'll see the race in CGI animated and that kind of thing. And I have also, like with the Clarion race, and with a few other races that I actually have actual photographs of them, they're humans. I have already animated them and brought them to life.
Wow. Do you know what? I mean, I can't wait. I've got to jump in here because I just got to jump in because you just get me all I'm all going now. A couple of days ago, I interviewed, I think on Open Minds, Jacqueline Smith.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I interviewed her a couple of days ago. And she is oh my God.
She's a mantis hybrid. She is in the documentary.
What synchronicity. You've given me goosebumps.
I have goosebumps too. Yes.
It's on Open Minds page. I interviewed her and she said to me, Gloria, for a new book, and she said, would you like me to speak the star language? And she did it. She did it on Open Minds a couple of days ago. That's synchronicity for you. There you go.
Absolutely. Wow. Yeah, she's amazing, and she's the only person that I know that is very knowledgeable about the mantis beings.
She was mind-blowing. I mean, if you know what I'm like, prior to we called, I speak separately, and our conversation before was I was just blown away. And it's just like connecting with, I don't know, I always say it's like we're all meant to connect with each other, we're all interlinking. And just that, when you were saying who you've got to come on the hybrids, and I was thinking, oh my God, I just had her on the show, even though I didn't know which one you had. I said, no, it's her. And I can't believe it. So that's another one for me. Wow. Totally amazing. I mean, guys, if you haven't watched the show with Jacqueline Smith the other day, please do. It's on the Facebook page. But that is the quality of the documentary Craig is making. If you can donate anything, even if it's £5 or if America bucks, whatever you call it, please do, because what we're all doing on all the podcasts and all the things that are going on is we're coming together as a community and helping each other and promoting
That's right.
That's what we're doing.
Absolutely.
We're going inward and promoting. So just on Jack Smith, that documentary is going to be 100%.
And you know what I really want the audience to understand is the more projects that we can get out there like this, right?
Yeah.
Then the greater studios and all of that go, oh, well, that was successful.
Yes.
Let's start making positive product about extraterrestrials. We don't need to make that extraterrestrials are coming to eat us, or that extraterrestrials are coming to do this. I mean, I belonged for many years, Steve Bassett and Ruben Langdon had a thing where we all got together once a month. It was all the filmmakers here in Hollywood, and we would get together. There would be anywhere from 50 to 75 to 100 people every month, and we would sit in this big giant round table, and we would all discuss and talk to see who could help each other in getting their positive extraterrestrial projects done. I mean, one night I sat next to Daryl Anka, who's Bashar, and we became friends. And so I cast his first film, Bashar First Contact, and then I cast his film that is out on Amazon Prime called Alienated, which is a cute little sci-fi film. right? So and I become, quite close to him and his wife, who I love and adore. So there,
helping each other. I mean, we're
right
on the podcast and shows now, we're all bringing other hosts on, and we're all sharing, and there's no competition at all.
right
We're trying to get the message out there. The old ways are crumbling. There's new ways coming forward, and for me, that's why I had Jacqueline on the show. Dear to my heart because of what she represents. Is this conversation is needed. However, the documentaries on this are so needed,
right
because
right
we've moved on from nuts and bolts, and we've moved on. We've gone through that stage, and now we need to have a greater understanding of the hybrids, what does it mean for humanity? So yes, please, if you can support Craig, please do. I mean, I just can't believe the synchronicity there. Just a couple of days of my show.
Oh yeah. And her and I were friends for years, even before I knew that she was a mantis hybrid.
Yeah.
I mean,
amazing.
Every time I saw her, I would just hug her and hug her and hug her and never let her go. I said, "You're just like, your energy is so beautiful.
It's so sweet, so loving." I mean, it was like you could just feel it, and the resonance. And then after the show, she sent me the most beautiful email of the enjoyment of the show. And I said to her, "You're coming back next year. You've got to come back. I've got to bring you back on." And she'll come back on, because it's amazing energy just talking to her. So that's the quality of this documentary that Craig is asking for the community to help him with. So let's go to the other project. What is it? It's Stranger at the Pentagon. Now, I don't know much about this. I knew about the other one. So I really want to know, what is this one?
So you're in the UK, right?
Yep.
All right. So Stranger at the Pentagon, the short film I made, can be watched on strangeratthepentagon.com and Amazon Prime, only in the UK and America. Right. So all your UK people can go to Amazon Prime and watch it there. It's like a 20-minute film, and it's taking shortened segments of the film that I just tried to build a short storyline. It's not a true short film in the sense that there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. What I did was create scenes throughout the film, and then I left it with a cliffhanger ending, which is a part of the film for investors to look at, right? So I want people to understand that first, but I also want them to understand that we had in this short film 90 visual effects shots. Wow. That is unheard of for a short film, and it's they're what I would say, they're sort of the visual effects are in the middle, right? They're not bad, they're fine to look at. They're not big George Lucas, because that would be like way expensive, but people will get the idea of what it could be with money, right? So the so in the feature film, which I have, everything is ready with the entire feature film. The script is ready. I know what actors I want to hire. I know what behind the scenes people, I know what the costumes are going to look like. I know everything there. We're going to be, half of the movie takes place in Washington, the other half takes place on board Valiant Thor's Victor class craft or the Starship, right? So, and also the interior of Venus, we have some shots there. So people are going to be brought into the Earth world in the 50s, and the very advanced races in also during that time frame. So there's going to be a dichotomy between both, so people will understand who Valiant Thor is and where he came from. I sat with Dr. Frank for years, every week, just having him tell me stories of being on board the craft, on being on board the starship, and what he saw and what was there and that kind of thing. And then I found myself going there at night and actually seeing it for myself astrally. So it was really a phenomenal experience being and listening to him. And I will also make, when I'm making that movie, I will also make a documentary about all the stuff that I couldn't put in the film because I had to I stay within the 3 years that Valiant Thor was at the Pentagon in the movie, because that's what I felt people would most want to know about. What did he go through? What were his struggles? What was it like being a created being who is in like angelic consciousness, being with hard ass military guys?
Just say humans at the moment. Humans is becoming a derogative word at the moment. Just humans. I mean, that is fascinating. And why that's fascinating to me is, sorry to interrupt, I've got to get this in, is because going back to the likes of the wonderful Jacqueline Smith, the hybrids do walk among us. The hybrids are here. And to get the perspective, and that opens up a communication door. A film like you're doing opens up a communication door. Does that make sense with you, Craig?
Yes, it does. And a big part of really why I want to make the film is because they did cover up his existence, right? Because in the end, they turned down this proposal that he came to Earth with, which was to help eliminate disease, poverty, how to prolong life, and to talk to the president about a myriad of things, including free energy, how we were polluting and killing the planet, and of course about atomics and all of those things that are disrupting not only life here, but interdimensionally and rippling out into the universe, even though it's on a smaller vibrational scale. If it continues, it gets worse and worse and worse. So in the end, when they turned his proposal down, Nixon, who was the vice president, and Eisenhower were actually for him. They championed him, but it was all the other military brass, etc., that basically just wanted to get at his superior technology that they did not have at the time. And they sort of just fed him breadcrumbs along the road to try and get as much information out of him as possible. He worked when NASA was in its beginning stages. He helped them, and so this is my honest opinion, and Dr. Frank passed away in 2008. So I believe that he is still working within the infrastructure of even NASA, the government, and those kinds of things, to try to lead them down the correct path. A lot of other people think, he's bad because he's there and he's at. No, what would you want? I would want an angelic there guiding them.
Well, I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but I have no issue with Craig. It resonates because, let me give you an analogy. Why it resonates is there's billions of us now. We have these angelic beings coming to us, communicating and waking us up. And before that, we were all arseholes.
Right.
So, they're going to go for the arseholes to start working with them, to get rid of that ego.
That's right.
So to me, if it's true or not, it doesn't matter. It resonates because it's already happening on an individual level with us lot. Does that resonate with you?
It totally resonates. And if you really think about it, from the 70s to today, the consciousness on this planet has really risen. And a lot of people people who are not awake would not agree with that statement because they're seeing all the atrocities happening. But as consciousness elevates and escalates, those things have to happen for it to take a crumble to then rebuild. Right. So I want everyone to sort of think of it in that kind of state. But so now what I'm doing is I'm looking for millionaires who can come in. Millionaires.
Hold on. Excuse me. All the millionaires watching my show, and there's all possibilities out there, quantum world. Listen to this.
Yes.
Just
so we're, so I'm now seeking investors. I can make the film for 10, 15, 20, 25, or I can make the film really well at a $30 million budget with really good visual effects, because remember, half of the movie is going to be up there. This again would be the first movie that is made about a real live extraterrestrial, a created being that has come here to help humanity, right?
Not a created one in a storyboard.
That's right. Yeah. And so what's interesting about it is that will create such a buzz throughout the world. I mean, it's already a buzz throughout the world. I mean, I have people contact me from militaries and other countries just buying the book. They're so fascinated to know who Valiant Thor was and that kind of thing. And I know that Valiant Thor brought Dr. Frank to the Pentagon at the end when he met him was in December of 1959, right? I was a couple months old when they met.
I was 1959. I was a couple of months old as well, actually.
Yes, we both were.
We both were. I think we came in together this time around.
We did.
Yeah.
So, but I do believe because Dr. Frank, he picked him because he was open to who he was. And Dr. Frank, although he was a Christian minister, his biggest subject that he talked about were UFOs and the Bible. And he talked about all the passages, and he would talk about the latest contactees. He would show pictures of the ships. He would show all kinds of stuff and have that conversation. So again, I don't want people to get, a lot of people think, oh, well, Valiant Thor is Christian because he picked Dr. Frank. That is not the case. That Valiant Thor, when Dr. Frank said, oh, you guys don't have a Bible, he goes, why would we need a Bible? We're in constant communication with the creator, the creation at all time. Right? We don't need a book. Right? So so that was in the first meeting that they had. So Dr. Frank became the vehicle to put the grassroots campaign out about who Valiant Thor was. He originally printed a little pamphlet book that went out called My Friend Beyond Earth. And then in 1967, he released Stranger at the Pentagon, the first version of the book. And then there were about 2 different updates throughout the years. And so it was very interesting that throughout his life, he traveled the world talking. He was on stages.
And he was a Christian man as well.
He was, yes.
Which I love. And I've spoken to, I've got some guests coming on and some in the past. And it's just so beautiful. They still have their faith, and they're still sharing the same information that we are talking about, which just goes to show, you see, you know, and I find that beautiful. There is no conflict. I've had Catholics come on, Muslims, I've got more coming. There is no conflict because they don't have the faith as in the dogmatic. There is no conflict. They're open. And so when I hear a Christian man or woman like you're talking about now that does this, produces this book and shares this out, I think that is true Christianity. Yes. There you go. That's what
exactly. And Dr. Frank, in all of his beliefs, a lot of them were not the traditional ones, because he believed that everyone really is beautiful, no matter of their sexual. Everyone is God, whether their sexual orientation, whether they're this or that, in the same beliefs of Valiant Thor as well. Absolutely. And so it was interesting, and he counseled, you know, he was a counselor. He was also a marshal. When I traveled with him, it was great, because I remember the first time we went up to the counter, and he showed his marshal badge, and they said, "Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir."
Ooh.
And I was like, "You're a marshal?" And you know, so we got this, they brought us onto the plane, they would give us our seats, and then they would bring the rest of the people
so
on.
It's what you know, it's who you know, Craig.
It's like amazing. I was like, God, you know, and he could pull people over. He was a Metro cop, and he did. I mean, he pulled people over.
I mean, obviously he was a contactee. Was his experience just focused on, you know, the stranger at the Pentagon? Was it just focused on that, or were you aware of any other things that he'd gone through experience? Some experiences just tend to stay in one line, but others it's multiple. I mean, you know, a bit like Jacqueline Smith, there's so many civilizations. What was he like? Was it multiple with him?
Well, he first it was just Valiant Thor, 1959. Then he met him again when he returned in 61, and then sporadically in 1967 he met Valiant Thor's four vice commanders for the first time, who are Dawn, Thawne, Teal, and Zan. Wow. And he met some of the other crew. When he would go on board the starship is when I loved to hear him talk, because he would talk about all this plethora of looking beings and the different beautiful skin tones he talked about, every color imaginable. And he told me, he said, you know, I saw beings that had zebra skin. I saw beings whose skin was like a rainbow wash. And I said, I've seen the rainbow wash people myself in meditation. And I just sort of never talked about him talking about the zebra skin people. No. And then I did a radio show earlier this year with my friend Tom Dongo. We were the guest on somebody else's show. And we were both talking, and he said, I was talking to Linda Moulton Howe, and she was talking to a contactee whose contacts, extraterrestrial contacts, had zebra skin.
Wow.
And I went, wow, that's the second time I heard that. So I told my story as well. So it's just interesting it's like, I believe, because it's creation, whatever you can imagine is probably out there.
All possible.
Right.
I always say, just look at the Earth. If you look at the species on Earth and the diversity, and some creatures look like ooh or ah. I mean, the sloth gets me. It's always smiling. Then why would there not be? We've got diversity in humans. But why would there not be such a rich diversity? Anything is possible. All possibilities are possible. And one thing about bringing like these documentaries coming out and these films, is when people watch it, like you just said, you were talking to Linda and she mentioned someone who saw that type of skin. Oh, I've seen that type of skin. By bringing these documentaries out, the viewers that watch it that have experienced or know someone experienced, and they, you know, they can say, oh my God, I've seen that too. And that brings it out into the collective, consciously aware, so to speak. It's creating, it's part of the co-creating that all of this is happening. Yeah, is that?
That's right. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely right. And just so people understand, so we are in one universe, one ovum. So it is said in the Urantia book, which if anybody has tried to get through that giant book about the universe, it is the most mind-blowing book. The other most mind-blowing book is J.J. Hurtak, The Keys of Enoch, which is mind-blowing, universal, all the
I tried
everything.
Enoch, trust
me.
Oh my God. I tried it and I thought I was, you know, you had discernment, I was educated, university, and I just like, I'll do that. No, out of here. I just
it's I mean, it's amazing. I mean, JJ came to our big Burbank Film Festival screening with his wife Desiree, and after he saw the film, he just looked at me, he said, oh my God, he said, you have Melchizedek, you have the fire letters, you have this, you have that. He said, I would be honored to be an advisor when you make the feature film. I said, are you kidding? I mean,
wow,
to me,
wow.
I love JJ and his wife so much. They're fantastic. But to put it into perspective, there are 7 super universes.
Okay.
We are in super universe 7, right? And in the Urantia book, Earth's registry number, right, of planets is 5,342,482,337,666. Now, that's just Earth. So there must be more beyond Earth. And how much life are on all those trillions of planets that we have no idea of? The Alpha Centaurians, which are also known as the Apunians, who visit especially down in South America, they've had many contacts down there, and we've been I've met many of the contactees from there and learned a lot about the Alpha Centaurians, but they say that their civilization knows of 1,019,000 other races that they have categorized.
Bloody hell.
Right. And I mean, that's one ET civilization who is categorized what they know.
Distance. The mind, the ego mind cannot even
fathom it. No.
I mean, you can't even take that numbers in. I mean,
no.
How far can the mind go? We can go in the hundreds and thousands, maybe to the millions, but we can't go higher than that because it is just way out there. But the fact is, you know, already I don't know, for my truth at the moment, and this is why I think your documentaries and your films are really, really important. For my truth is at the moment, and the guests that come on, the hybrids are here. They've been here a very, very long time. Among us, and have merged into an extent that only some can be aware they are hybrids by energy exchange. The language is in, the light code language is already in, either by the symbols, because Jacqueline spoke about when she was young, putting her hands onto the symbology, and it would come from that. Now she verses it out. I know from the past year, I've had people come to me that are drawing the light codes. So all of this is coming out now. And this is really why important, the likes of yourself and others that do what you do, that get these give us, the rest of humanity, access to this information where we can choose to accept it or not. But the fact is, a choice is there. And I think we're in a time now with what's going on. We've never had this opportunity. All documentaries and all films are generally, the narrative is controlled to suppress what we call self-realization. I don't call it awakening. No, if I have to, I have to. But it's self-realization of the individual being. But we need documentaries and films now that actually inspire it to occur. So your type of work that you're doing, I mean, is so needed at this time. And I can't help it, because, you know, like, these beings have a great sense of humor. I wonder what they think of your films and your documentary. You know, I mean, you think about it, it's part of a process of us connecting with them on a more intimate level now. I think this is where we're going. How does that resonate with you? And this is why the podcast, the shows, the films, the documentaries, we're all coming together, and this is why it's so important in these times, because you're gonna give the voice of what we call an ET, a real ET, and they'll be able to hear it themselves. Or we have the likes of Jacqueline Smith, whatever way you want to do it, whatever way you want to do it.
Well, you know, part of, just so you know, my process when I had my awakening process at age 26, that went on for 2 years, with 3 universal master teachers that brought me from being completely asleep to being fully awake. And then I began my consciousness raising journey. But when I began to write, they said now, and during the first 2 years of waking, I wrote a book about all my experiences. I thought I was going to publish it. And the one master teacher at the end said, "What would you say if I told you you wrote that book for yourself?" And I said, then I learned a lot about myself. And he said, "It's now time to sit down and write the books that you came here to write. And I just want you to sit down and I want you to write." And I hand wrote them, you know, back then, because I didn't have a typewriter, and we didn't have computers, because, you know, and so he said, "I want you to write and write and write and write and write until you can write no more. I don't want you to stop. I don't want you to edit. I don't want you to blah, blah, blah." So I would write and write and write, and then I would hear a word that I didn't know. And if I didn't know, I would say, "Could you spell it?" And they would spell it. And I'd write it down. And then later I would go to the dictionary and go, "Oh my God, wow, that's incredible," right?
I've never heard of that word before.
And so it was like reading a book, and then it escalated to a different thing, like the main character, Tehran, who is actually a Pleiadian Titan from Melchizedek and the Pleiades. And so it became the experience where they would, in their worlds, telepathy is more than speaking mind to mind. It's sharing your feeling body at the same time. So then they would telepathically talk to me and share their feeling body. And when I would feel them at first in the beginning, I am not kidding, Gloria, I would weep for like 15 minutes because I couldn't believe how beautiful they were and that they were sharing their whole self. When Valiant Thor, when I began writing Stranger at the Pentagon, when he came in, I sobbed for a half an hour. I couldn't, like, I want to cry right now just thinking about it.
It's a very an energy that and I can't you know, I've experienced that energy a few times when they've come in, and you're crying, just you're aware that the body's just flooding, the baby's nose is running, but the joy,
such joy.
And I always go, you know, you're gonna have to slow it down, because like step back, because I feel like you're going to internally combust. It's a joy of a joy of a joy
Yeah.
of a joy.
Yes.
And it is an absolutely, it's an undescribable experience. But
Yes.
beings are that and more.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
we are that and more. We're
Right.
just raising our consciousness now to come into that space. So it's just mind-blowing, Craig. I mean, come on. I mean, it's quite obvious with the quality of work that you write. And I love your personality. I just love it. I said to Tiffany, oh, he's just lovely. Just want to cuddle him. You know what I mean? He's just lovely. That you've come in yourself. Yeah. And I do know the other, what we had in the other podcast, the backdrop about your father and everything, and all the synchronicities are so unbelievable. I mean, really, maybe one day you'll write a book on you and really publish it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Actually,
you've got
that's
some stories there.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, stories that go from the beginning, to the end, which are completely fascinating in itself. I'm writing the prequel now to the Autobiography of an Extraterrestrial Saga. And so I've been reviewing the other books and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, God, just so much information is packed into those books that, I haven't thought about them. And I've been wanting to do a prequel book to explore all the characters when they were younger and what their trials and tribulations were, because, up there in their society, they're all fully conscious, but there is a small pod of dualistic beings.
Yes, there is. And I just had this thing come in because I do say they do have a sense of humor. It's just like, all the books that you wrote about these beings and everything, it's just you. It's just you having all these experiences at all places, all times. And what you're doing, you've captured it in each book and each documentary in a window. You paused it, and you said like write, and then when it's time to write the book, you will. It's like you pause it, but to me, it's just like your consciousness. All the things you write about these beings experiencing is your experience as well. And that's, you're one with it. So you're part of maybe the hologram of one being. I don't know how to explain this stuff. It just, I never know.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm trying to say to you?
I totally do. I totally do.
At least someone does, because it's so hard to articulate. But, it's 100% you in all of your narratives. It's you in all of them, playing all the roles, all the parts, and expressing it in such a creative way. It's just mind-blowing. I think it's mind-blowing what you've done, and I'm sure what you're going to do.
And because I was so, I see everything in vivid technicolor. Sometimes I will dream it the night before. Sometimes I will astral travel and be there the night before, or it comes to me in all different ways, clairaudient, sentient, etc. But I was like, I have to find an artist who can connect to this material. So each of the Autobiography of an Extraterrestrial Saga books, they're illustrated with 80 artist renderings of the beings, their spaceships, their home worlds, their gadgets, their this, their that. Of course, the ET Almanac is illustrated with each of the extraterrestrial races. So, I mean, I like picture books. I love seeing a visual when I'm writing. Oh, that's what she looks like. Oh, that's what the uniform looks like. Oh, I love that because you connect. And I know a lot of people over the years have written me beautiful letters just saying that they just felt activated. They just like reconnected into their star family. They felt all of these amazing connections that enhanced
yes
their life on so many levels, because really what we're all trying to do is rise up out of the gunk, get above the collective to raise a consciousness on this planet.
Absolutely.
So that we can all become fully conscious again and rejoin with the universal society that is waiting for us.
You know, that just resonates with what Jacqueline said on the show about, she said she was talking about how she connects people to their star families, to their star.
Right.
Yeah, and you just mentioned it too, so that's twice I've heard it now. So
yes,
I hear it once, it's going to have to come again, and then you know the detector goes on. Okay, synchronicity, but she went into great detail of the work that she does on an individual basis as well. Never mind her books, but on the individual basis of she has people coming, and they're fully aware. Either they're hybrids now. I know it's a quantum jump for everyone who's not into this at the moment, but please have an open mind. And she connects them to that, and my God, their life just changes. Totally.
Absolutely changes. You know, I just remembered a story. I have a dear friend who at the time was living in Arizona. I went to go visit him, and he is a very extremely tall, very ET energy guy. And he was very open to all of it, but he's at the time was a newbie. And I remember he walked me to a field. He said, this is where I come, and I just lay on the ground. I look up into the sky, and I just want to reconnect with my family. And when we were sitting there, one of Valiant Thor's vice commanders, Teal, I heard her say to me, ask him if he wants to be activated. And I said, would you like activation? And he said, yes, I would. And then all of a sudden, in the far distance, we saw a form shoot down through a tube, came over, and in energy, like this, came up, went behind him, and started activating. I could see it, he could see it, and it was actually Thawne from the ship who was doing it, right? And then I looked over to where that was again, and then I saw Teal's form pop down through the thing, and it was cold, and we were shivering, and I went, oh my God, it's so cold. And she went like this, and all of a sudden it was all warm air around us.
Wow.
And so he got this major activation, and he kept saying to me, like, I knew where he was from and what his star family was. And he said, and I want to know, will you tell me? And I said, no, that's your discovery. I said, I'm not going to tell you. So for months and months and months, I would ask him if he found it. And he goes, no, Craig, no, I didn't. And then one night, we were talking on the phone, and I said, hey, by the way, I said, you figured out who your star family is? He goes, no. And I said, well, what did you do today? Oh God, for the last 3 hours, I've been researching Pleiadians online.
Yes.
And I just burst out laughing. And I said, that's it right there. So anyway,
it does work like that. I mean, obviously I've spoken to hundreds of experiences like myself, and we all say to each other, so what civilization are you in contact? It's like this.
Right.
We do it, and do you see this and that? And it's slightly harder if you're in multiple contact, because you don't quite know which one. It could be the whole lot. But what you've just shared there is really important for this time as well, because this conversation is now happening between people.
Right.
Conversations going on.
Right.
So, it's like, well, what star family are you from? And, and I go, I don't know. I said, well, I think I'm Centaurians, but who knows? Because I've had the mantis and I've had this, and, but it's a conversation that is now being manifested. So we're even changing we're deconstructing the human concepts and bringing in a higher conscious concept, where we're not discussing the weather or anything that's going on like that. We're saying, well, what star family, who's your angel? And this is do you see where I'm going with this? And this is why these conversations it's the norm now, believe it or not. It's the norm for this to happen, and it's the minority that don't talk about this.
That's right. And it's interesting because people either understand the information or they don't. So with the ET Almanac, if you're not awake, those people don't get it. No. And they have not listened to a podcast that I've given, like 100 podcasts this year that I've done, that the book is based on real contactees, real hybrids, and they don't know that, so they give the book a bad rating on Amazon, and then they talk bad about the book, because they think it's made up and this kind of thing, but they haven't done the research, right? And I remember one person said to me once after they read my first book, they smugly said, I could do better. And I said, I challenge you to write a book.
Do it.
I challenge you.
Do it.
Cannot, the person, as one of my dearest friends, still cannot form one sentence in a book. You understand? So it's just interesting, people's different perceptions.
It is. Things. I mean, and that I was saying, who did I have on yesterday? I can't even remember who was on Inception yesterday. Oh, blast, I'm lost. Anyway, I had someone on yesterday in Inception, a VIP guest, and I can't remember the name. Brain fog, this happens. And we were talking about that, about some, about how people can just not connect. They can't see it. And then I said, well, my analogy is it's billions of worlds on one earth. We're all in our individual world, and where we just follow our path and our journey on our world.
Sure.
And sometimes, like quantum bubbles, we bump in, like me and you and others, and we say, like this. However, I added on that a disclaimer. Please don't think the arseholes, or the really bad people, what you call bad people, or those that are not interested and write bad things, don't ever think they're not going to become self-realized, because I have actually seen the beginning of self-realization in people I never thought that would ever even touch this. Have you experienced that?
Yes, absolutely. But I bring that up because I want people to understand that if you were reading something, then go online, type in that person's name, and listen to a podcast or listen, so that you can further understand what is being done or said or whatever. And then that will bring you more into the realm of what it truly is. And I find that a lot of people look at the pictures and don't even read the copy in the book, because there's I always have to explain this. Just like here on Earth, we mate with many different colors.
Yes.
And we produce many different colors.
Yes.
In the Star Nation, there is more colors than we have on Earth, and they mate and they produce beautiful colors. So even though they may be primarily colors on a certain world, there are a plethora of other colors on the same world, and they're not in hang-ups over color.
No.
Right?
No.
They are not into hang-ups over race. They are not into hang-ups over anything, shape, or form that has to do with any of those things, because everything that comes from love is beautiful.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
That's the main thing. So
That's the main message.
Just like us. Yeah, because I mean, the whole universe is populated with all different kinds of things. Even reptiles have a plethora of colors. Some of them are brilliantly colored with all of the colors in the rainbow, and white, and some black, and some are all black, some are all blue, some are,
I mean, watch the nature programs. I know in the UK, in this country, and that's little island, I should say, we don't, our wildlife is not too colourful. We do have the odd bird in that, but we are monochrome. And then, when I remember when I was younger, watching nature programs, when, on the TV, I was just about to say when the TV come out. I'm not that old. Long after the TV came out in colour. And I was seeing creatures, and I was going, oh my God, is that real? I was seeing multicolored parrots and and I'd never seen a species with such color. So I can understand why people think the way they do. But however, when I saw these animals, I was in awe. Wow. If there's more to this than our UK birds, which are quite cool.
Right.
There's more. That means there's more to this life. There's more. So yeah, it's about opening your mind. However, I got to say, most people that watch the podcast or read the books and still poo-poo it, they've watched the podcast and they've read the book. There's your door. And it happens in time. On the individual, there's the door. Well, we're coming to the close. So what I want to do is shamelessly promote the books and the documentary and the film. So I'm handing it over to you.
All right. So if anybody would love to help us raise funds for our computer-generated images for the Extraterrestrial Species Almanac documentary, you can go to gofundme.com and look up the Extraterrestrial Species Almanac documentary, or type in Craig Campobasso, and I'm sure it'll come up. Gloria will also post the link as well. If you are interested in Stranger at the Pentagon or any of Dr. Frank's other books, Outwitting Tomorrow is Valiant Thora's advisor as well. By the way, this is the only book that he was advisor on. He has not written all the books that are all online. Those names were put on older books after my short film brought it back. All of a sudden, there's 20 books authored by Valiant Thor. Right? Valiant Thor is not a writer on Earth.
No.
Right? That is not his mission. So,
go through Craig. Go through Craig.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, that's strangeratthepentagon.com, and there's, like I said, posters. You can watch a short film. I also have I think I have 30 DVDs left of the short film, and on there are behind the scenes making of, and that's the only place where you can see them. You can, on my YouTube page, Craig Campobasso, you can watch the actual creation of the visual effects, and when we had the big premiere and a bunch of other things there. And then the book series, a 4-part autobiography of an extraterrestrial saga. First book is I Am Tehran. That is on Autobiography of ANET.com, and they're on the homepage. And on the left side, if you want to buy all 4 books in hardcover or softcover, you can do it with one click, or buy them individually. And then on the same website, if you click other books, you can get ET Almanac, Silence of the Hams.
I love that.
And the Universal Seal of Protection cards. So I always say to everyone, if you want me to personalize the books when you order them in the little PayPal things, please sign book 2. So that I know if it's for a person other than you, I know who to sign it to. I mean, those are great presents. I mean, I've had people all over the world get the books for Christmas presents, you know, and say, oh, my husband loves this book, and
well,
I want you to
guys,
sign it.
We're a couple of weeks away from Christmas in the UK anyway.
Yes.
Get out there, get your books, and a great gift for someone else. And also, when I put the link, go to Craig's page and his website, but I will put the links up on the Open Mind page to help support Craig. And I got to say, it's just gone too quick.
It did. It goes like boom.
Oh, it's
fast.
And we both behaved ourselves. I didn't see any orbs. Did you today? I didn't see.
I did not.
Not today. I asked him to step back so we could have a conversation, because it distracts you from what you're talking about, you know.
Oh, I know, but I love saying, oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one.
You're not allowed. I told you that. I did that last time. Thank you so much for coming on, Craig, and I'm hoping next year I'll get you back on, and we'll do some updates, and we can go on some specific areas, and you can update us on the documentary and the film and where everything's.
I would love that. I would love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on. See, I'm just smiling with your energy around.
Me too. You're adorable. Thank you.
It's great. And thank you for watching Open Minds. Until the next time, until the next conversation, is bye from me.